so much lighter and easier. Turns out there's a tip, guys. Chú ơi, khi mà cái kèn nó bị bẹp thì nó sẽ ảnh hưởng đến thế nào với chất lượng của âm thanh của kèn ạ?
Thì nó cũng giống như một dòng sông, mà dòng sông nó có một vật cản. Tuy nó nhỏ, nước vẫn chảy, nhưng nó dù sao nó vẫn không chảy đều bằng, nó không có một vật cản. Thì cái kèn này cũng giống như thế, bẹp, đấy là cái vật cản của nó.
Trong xưởng này thì có tất cả bao nhiêu loại kèn ở đây ạ?
Ở đây gia đình nhà tôi đây có khoảng độ 24 loại kèn, mỗi một loại kèn âm thanh khác nhau. Giống như con người, người có giọng hát cao, giọng trầm.
And right now, we are gonna go to listen to all the amazing sounds from the trumpet that Mr. Cường gonna show us. I am so excited because this is my favorite part, so let's go!
Cái kèn này là kèn trumpet, kèn là giọng cao. Nếu như đặt của nước ngoài được hàng tỷ tỷ.
Cháu vừa được nghe cái kèn giọng cao rồi, thế thì chú có thể cho cháu nghe kèn thấp được không ạ?
Được. Cái kèn này gọi là cái kèn bass, nó là của người Nhật. Tới đến 50 chi tiết khác nhau. Từ những cái bu tông, cái cọc, cái xoáy này cũng là chi riêng.
Thế 50 chi tiết này đã là cái kèn nhiều chi tiết nhất chưa ạ?
Chưa. Như cái saxo tenor này là có khoảng 100 chi tiết khác nhau.
Không biết là cháu có được thử cái nhạc cụ này được không ạ?
Vâng.
Before, I was just a brass instrument fixer, but now I'm gonna try to be amateur saxophonist, so wish me luck. Chú ơi, chú chỉ cho cháu cách thổi.
Cái này rất dễ thổi nha. Bây giờ khi đặt môi vào thì mình đọc chữ em, tức là hết bằng miệng, không hết bằng mũi. Mà nếu hơi nhiều à, càng nhiều càng tốt.
Turns out it was not that hard, and that is the reason why there's 1,000 of people know how to play trumpets in Phạm Pháo. Let's continue to discover this special village.
Để chuẩn bị cho cái chương trình hội làng, chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau để chúng ta tập bài trống cơm. Chúng ta đánh sao ra được cái chất dân ca này.
This is just one of the practice rehearsal on the weekday of a brass band at Chạy Đáy Village.
Đấy, vào cái phần đầu này, ta cái tôi đánh này một tí nữa. Đô, lá đô này còn mi, rê mi rê đô. Từ cái nhu cầu về đời sống tinh thần, và đặc biệt ở đây là cái vùng tôn giáo, từ đó ra đời và phát triển của các cái đội kèn rất là đông. Có những đội tới hàng trăm nhạc công nữa.
Mình may mắn là được tham gia hội kèn được khoảng 15 năm. Tham gia trong hội kèn thì khoảng 1 tháng nó sẽ dao động tầm 10 buổi.
The song you are listening is actually Trống Cơm, one of Vietnam's famous songs, but played in Western brass and drums. This represents tradition meets innovation. Xin chào thầy Khoát và các anh trong nhóm kèn ạ. Bài Trống Cơm vừa rồi thì em nghe thấy rất là đặc biệt, không biết là nhóm đã chơi được trong bao lâu rồi ạ?
Bản nhạc trống cơm chuyển thể từ dân ca sang cho nhạc kèn thì nó cũng cả một quá trình. Bởi vì nhà kèn thì người ta thường chơi các cái thể loại hành khúc, cho nên anh em cũng phải tập về tiết tấu.
Thường thì trong một tuần là sẽ có bao nhiêu buổi tập với nhau?
Thì thường xuyên là có những cái buổi sinh hoạt hàng tuần, bởi vì anh em cũng là những người đam mê âm nhạc. Ở đây thì hoàn toàn là những người lao động, người thì làm đồng, người thì làm thợ. Nhưng anh em cứ học hỏi với nhau. Và sau đó là anh em sẽ tập nhận nốt nhạc này, thổi định vị cái nốt. Sau đó dần dần anh em có được một cái trình độ nhất định và chúng ta sẽ học những cái tác phẩm.
Right now it is 5 p.m. on a Saturday and it's raining really big outside, but the people here are still present on time because they have been practiced a lot to prepare for this special occasion. It's Paris on Brass Band with Bassline Performance Day, and it's only held once a year.
Buổi lễ Quan Thầy là một ngày đặc biệt của hội kèn. Hội kèn cũng có công phu tập luyện để mừng lễ Quan Thầy Thánh Giacôbê. Thánh Quan Thầy là thể hiện là một người gương mẫu để các hội viên của hội kèn noi theo. Mỗi năm mừng lễ Quan Thầy để tụ họp nhau, vừa gặp gỡ nhau, vừa đổi mới đời sống, hồi tâm để sống tốt đẹp hơn.
Đội kèn giáo xứ Trại Đáy này, thành viên mà tham gia khoảng độ 90 thành viên. Bản nhạc kèn là cái bản hành khúc Rosa. Kinh Rosa thì là một cái kinh bổn rất quý và rất hiếm. Chúng tôi cũng đã vận dụng thì mình đưa cái phối khí đem vào để thể hiện cái bản thánh ca nó được sâu sắc hơn, cái sự truyền cảm cho người nghe. Trong thánh lễ, khi có tiếng kèn vang lên thì nó tạo cho tất cả mọi người, giáo dân phấn chấn hơn, nâng cao được cái tinh thần của người Công giáo hơn.
Tất cả các loại kèn hỏng bất cứ cái loại gì chúng tôi đều đủ khắc phục được hết. Về tôi tuổi cũng già rồi thì vẫn sửa bình thường, ngày nào cũng như ngày nào. Có ngày đến 10 đến 12 13 tiếng tôi phải làm hết sức luôn.
Có những tiếng kèn đâu đó nó vang lên trong một cái làng bạc như này, nó tạo một cái cảm hứng để mà quên đi những cái mệt nhọc sau những cái giờ lao động. Đối với con người Trại Đáy này thì nếu mất đi tiếng kèn thì người ta mất đi một cái gì đó về mặt văn hóa tinh thần.
Tiếng kèn thì nó tràn đầy lên với cái sức sống của mọi người. Ai họ cũng thích vào hội kèn, nên là cái hội kèn nó không bị mai một. Tôi sẽ cùng con cháu gìn giữ tiếng kèn Phạm Pháo vang mãi về sau.
I used to go into the mountains to harvest agarwood. Life was hard then, because it meant trekking deep into the forests. Some people left and never came back. Some even lost their lives.
But today in Thiên Phúc, Da Nang City, the story is different.
Thiên Phuoc is known far and wide for it.
Instead of foraging in the wild, we cultivate it.
My hometown's agarwood has a gentle fragrance.
In the early 1990s, Thiên Phoc's first agarwood harvesters began experimenting with cultivating agarwood on Zabo trees. An effort that brought surprising success and quickly spread to other regions. Growing these trees is no easy task, but Thiên Phúc in Da Nang City has managed to make it work. We visited Va Xuan Anh, who has years of experience caring for and planting Zabo trees.
This Zobao tree comes from a 32-year-old garden.
Where did this tree come from?
We collected the seeds in the garden and planted them.
How long has this one been growing?
It's been about a month since planting the seed. By the time Lunar New Year passes, it'll be ready to sell. Here in central Vietnam, because of the rain, we need to cover them. If we don't, the roots rot, the tree dies.
How much does one tree sell for?
Around 2,000 dong.
Where are most buyers from?
We sell across the country. Each year, we ship out between 50,000 to 70,000 trees. Zobao trees are highly valuable, generating good incomes. It's difficult to nurture them. The weather is sometimes too hot, while there are sometimes prolonged rains. This species can't tolerate that.
Agarwood forms only when a Zabo tree is wounded. Rainwater collects in the wound through a rainy season, prompting the tree to release resin as a defense. Over time, microbes in the environment interact with the resin. Combined with climate conditions, this slow natural process produces agarwood. The longer it takes, the more valuable it becomes. At one point, prices dropped nationwide due to the use of artificial scents. Many growers elsewhere struggled or went bankrupt, unsure if their trees would ever yield agarwood. But in Thiên Phúc, farmers continue to thrive. They've mastered the techniques of wounding the trees and introducing microbes. Knowledge is openly shared. In 2014, local growers formed an agarwood association to learn from each other and build a stable supply chain.
If we wait until all the pulp breaks down, the scent will be softer and more refined.
This is all natural. That's the smell of microbes.
Yes, I can tell. Currently, hundreds of local households are producing agarwood, along with many participating in trading agarwood. The industry will continue to thrive. We used to mostly produce raw agarwood. Artistic agarwood products were rare. Now, handicrafts are in high demand. Locals produce various types of handcrafted products: incense, essential oil. They seek different ways to sell their products with diverse products. Locals have attached their lives with agarwood. More people are joining the trade.
One of the new developments in Tien Phuc is the younger generation's effort to apply science and technology to build a clean agarwood production chain. Nguyen Như Y grew up with a deep love for agarwood, as its scent was part of his childhood. Although trained in information technology, he made a bold choice: to return home and become a Za Bo farmer. For over 10 years, he has traveled across southern Vietnam and even abroad, studying techniques in planting, seed selection, and agarwood production technology.
I've traveled widely and tried many types of agarwood, but the gentle scent of my hometown still lingers. That's what drives me to return and help develop it, so more people can discover the distinctive fragrance of our local agarwood.
With local support, Như Y has applied technology and quality control techniques to preserve agarwood's signature scent. His agarwood products have earned a 3-star OCOP rating for their fine craftsmanship and high aesthetic value. He's also committed to investing in high-quality raw material plantations to ensure a consistent supply.
I focus on building raw material plantations. Every batch is tested to ensure it meets quality standards. When the material is consistent, the products are easier to market and bring health benefits to consumers.
We visited his Za Bo plantation, where he shared some valuable insights and experiences.
How old is this tree?
Over 30 years, but it hasn't grown much.
Does it have agarwood?
Yes, but just a little. Many trees can't survive here.
There are only 50 trees scattering around here.
Yes, many have been exploited. Some remain.
How do you know which trees have more agarwood?
You check the core. Yellow stains signal fragrance, and the sweetness depends on the resin inside.
So it's all about the resin?
We cut the tree to check for oil lines or dark streaks in the core.
How long ago was this tree drilled?
7 to 8 years ago. The resin needs at least 4 to 5 years to mature. 3-year-old agarwood is less valuable. Each region has its own distinct scent profile. Let's check this one. To test the quality, we look for black streaks that form a dark agarwood layer. The core of this one will grow more.
It'll thicken, right?
Yes, the quality is good if the core is this thick.
I see a black line. If it thickens, it'll reach here, right?
The quality depends on the age of the agarwood. Sometimes we strip off the bark and find just a thin piece. The oil's purity and scent come from the tree's natural resin.
We saw a zabo tree cut down for the first time, its gentle agarwood scent mixing with fresh resin. It takes many steps to extract the agarwood core and craft it into beautiful and refined handmade products. They say that out of the tree's wounds, agarwood is born, and only those with endurance, patience, dedication, and perseverance will find success. Coming to this land, we truly understood the path agarwood growers and producers here are taking. They have the skills, the knowledge, and are always seeking new ways to develop agarwood sustainability. With their vision and dedication, we hope the scent of Tian Phuc agarwood will continue to reach across the world. Net Zero 2050, together with Vietnam today.
Here's our today's headlines. Vietnam becomes world's second largest rice exporter. US raises tariffs on over 400 aluminium and steel products. Hello and welcome to Daily Biz on Vietnam Today. You're with Phu Anh. I'm here to bring you key business and economic highlights of the day. Let's take a look at the figures today. US stock finish mixed on Tuesday as witnessed in tech-weighted markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average added 10.45 points to 41,922.27. The S&P 500 decreased by 6.4%, while Nasdaq Composite ended at 21,314. In Europe, the Euro Stock 50 index was up 0.3% in the morning trade. Later, we'll have analysis on the figure in the European market. Now let's go deeper with the US stock. 7 of the 11 primary S&P 500 sectors closed higher. Real estate led the gains with a 1.8% rise, followed by consumer staples. Technology and communication services were the biggest laggards. Mega cap tech stocks extended declines, dragging on the broader market. Nvidia and Broadcom each fell around 3.5%. Meta Platforms slipped 2%, and Microsoft, Amazon, and Tesla lost 1.5% apiece. Apple and Alphabet posted small losses. Looking ahead, investors are awaiting remarks from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell at the Jackson Hole Symposium later this week for clues on monetary policies. According to CME's FedWatch tool, markets are pricing at an 83% probability of a quarter-point rate cut at the Fed September meeting. In Frankfurt, European shares rose slightly today as investors wait the possibility of a Russian-Ukraine peace deal following a US-European meeting in Washington.
The Pan-European Stoxx 600 index was up 0.3% in the morning trade, while the FTSE stocks tumbled between 3.5% and 6.4%. Analysts say the markets are reacting cautiously to the new diplomatic signals from the US and Europe.
The stock market is hardly moving. On the one hand, everyone is hoping for progress in the peace process in Ukraine. But on the other hand, we know that a real ceasefire is still a long way off. The positive aspect is that Europe is now more deeply involved and showing its geopolitical weight.
According to Mr. Halver, Europe will have to bear significant costs to support Ukraine, but this could also bring opportunities.
US has pledged to guarantee Ukraine's security, but Europe is the one footing the entire bill. That doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. If it helps strengthen EU solidarity, then it's money well spent.
Beyond the financial burden, the experts said Germany could benefit from participating in Ukraine's reconstruction.
If Europe spends money on weapons and aid, then in return, German companies could take the lead in rebuilding Ukraine. That will provide a vital boost to the economy, which is otherwise facing the risk of a prolonged recession.
While peace prospects remain uncertain, European markets are also awaiting fresh signals from the US Federal Reserve's Jackson Hole Symposium later this week.
Consistently breaking through resistance levels, the VN Index marks its strongest growth in the past 3 years. At the closing of the morning session on July 22nd, the VN Index hit the 1,491.12 points. The underlying causes go beyond surface factors, driven by key forces propelling the VN Index forward. To help us understand more about this growth momentum, we have us here today with us Dr. Trần Thăng Long, Director of Research Center at BIDV Securities. It's a great pleasure to have you here with us today. So let's get straight into our first question. So what do you think are the causes as well as the key drivers behind the recent growth of the VN Index?
Over the last 3 months, everyone sees that VN-Index is growing really high. We're now approaching our all-time high of 1,500, and it's the highest point we have since 2022. And we see that there are several reasons behind us. The first of all is our macroeconomy situation is quite stable, and Vietnamese government are now targeting a very high growth in terms of GDP, around like 8%. And because of that, the Vietnamese government are now supporting in terms of policy. The second one is the growing in terms of liquidity in the market. And especially in July, we see that there are several sections that the liquidity is getting over $1 billion to $1.2 billion, even higher than several emerging markets in Southeast Asia. And the last but not least, the growth of the market are now backed up by the growing in terms of profit. The number we have from the profit of the first quarter of 2025, the overall VN Index is growing around like 12%, which is even quite high compared to several years.
Thank you. And how would you assess the quality of this growth?
So over the last 3 months, after the reciprocal tariff from the US, all markets is growing, and our markets, VN Index, is growing pretty fast compared to other markets, especially in Southeast Asia. And we find out that around 1/3 of the growing point is from the banking stock. The other 1/3 is from like large cap, like Vingroup stock or Galaxy Group. And the last one, the 1/3 is from other sector, big stock, like big cap, especially from the technologies and industry and also logistic firm.
And in the context of regional and global markets, is Vietnam benefiting from the overall trend, or are there any disadvantages setting it apart?
Vietnamese market is surely benefit from the recovery trends. Not only VN Index are growing, we also find that market, especially in Asia, the biggest stock market in the world is the US market. We have S&P 500. Also, the Nasdaq are growing. So Vietnam is not a standalone market. We are growing in same trends with market in Asia, also with most of the stock market over the last few months. And also our market also stand out compared to other when we come into the recent growing in our macroeconomies, because we are among the very few countries that targeting very high GDP growth, especially when the Vietnamese government are not just target a very high GDP growth this year, but target a very high GDP growth for the next 10 to 12 years.
Thank you very much for joining us today, Dr. Long. By mid-July, the VN Index had risen more than 6%, fueled by significant progress in Vietnam's negotiation on reciprocal taxation and its increasingly pivotal role in global supply chains. These developments are setting the stage for a positive market trajectory in the latter half of the year, opening up a wide array of potential investment opportunities. To fully capture the potentiality of this momentum, Vietnam must take crucial steps to refine the institutional framework, improve transparency, and most importantly, continue to enhance investor education. These are key to making Vietnam's stock market beneficial for all participants and attracting foreign investors. The Ministry of Finance draft of the amended law on investment proposes simplify investment approval procedures and enhance decentralization. These procedures apply only to projects significantly impacting the environment, national defense, security, national resources, and seaports and airport sectors. The policy aims to resolve current obstacles and accelerate investment. Additionally, narrowing the scope of projects requiring approval unlocks resources for economic development. These reforms are expected to drive Vietnam's sustainable economic and social growth. From August 19th, a government decree on land use fees and land rents is in force. The decree grants a 30% reduction in land rents for 2025 and those paying annually. The policy applies even to land users without full legal documents as long as they are subject to land rent payments in 2025. Even those yet to complete legal procedures on land use are still eligible for the reduction. The decree also stipulates other causes eligible for exemptions and reductions, including allocation of resettlement land, or residential land to households and individuals in flood-prone resettlement areas in the Mekong Delta. Allocation of residential land to fishing households and communities living on rivers, lagoons and waterways who relocate to planned resettlement areas. Vietnam has overtaken Thailand to become the world's second largest rice exporter in the first half of this year, according to the Thai Rice Exporter Association. This reflects a significant shift in Vietnam's rice sector, from exporting large volume to focusing on higher value shipments. In response, the Prime Minister directed the Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development with relevant agencies to develop specific plans to maintain this position. He urged authorities to accelerate rice exports, particularly high quality and organic rice, while strengthening traceability systems and building a national rice brand to enhance export value. The Prime Minister also called for faster implementation of the project to develop 1 million hectares of high-quality, low-emission rice in the Mekong Delta by 2030, in line with green growth goals. Vietnam's coastal provinces have launched a High Point campaign through August 2025 in a bid to have the European Commission revoke its yellow card on illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing, IUU, fishing prevention and control. 21 coastal localities are coordinating with the Ministries of National Defense, the Ministry of Public Security, and the Ministry of Agriculture and Environment to inspect and strictly manage violating fishing vessels and fishing crews. Youth groups and local authorities actively promote IUU law awareness. Additionally, local leaders face accountability for violations. These efforts are expected to meet international standards and promote sustainable fishing in Vietnam. Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, FICCI, organized the Green Hydrogen Summit 2025 in New Delhi as part of India's push towards clean energy. Held under the theme Aligning Policy, Demand and Technology, the Green Hydrogen Summit brought together key stakeholders from government agencies, industries, academia, and the international community. The focus was on actionable pathways to scale India's green hydrogen economy and align national efforts towards sustainability goals, highlighting India's evolving green hydrogen landscape. Union Minister of State for Power and New and Renewable Energy, Shripad Yesso Nak, said green hydrogen stands out as a promising and transformative solution. And you've been watching Daily Biz with me, Vũ Anh. Thank you very much for joining us, and I'll see you again in our next edition on Vietnam Today.
Vietnam Today, where culture glows at night.
Touching Vietnam.
One land, 54 ethnic groups, 54 colors. One heartbeat. Where stories are not just told, but lived, shaped by time, woven by hands, passed down through generations. Voices carried by the wind, dances through time. In every celebration, the echoes of our ancestors. Where tradition meets today, unity in diversity. "54 ethnic souls, beating as one. One Vietnam. Touching Vietnam, a cultural odyssey on Vietnam today."
Stay informed,
stay connected.
This is Inside Asia, your weekly passport to the pulse of Asia. I'm Thao Chang.
And I'm Hoàng Anh, coming to you from Hanoi, Vietnam.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit China later this month to attend the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit in Tianjin. The announcement was confirmed by India's National Security Advisor during a meeting with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi in New Delhi. The Indian side stressed that bilateral ties are progressing positively, with peaceful and stable borders and increasing substantive cooperation. This will be Prime Minister Modi's first visit to China since 2018. Now, Hoàng Anh, with all these high-level visits, it seems that countries are stepping up towards, better efforts ahead of these high-level visits. Isn't that right?
Yes, and as a matter of fact, South Korea is also stepping ahead with the diplomatic efforts since South Korean President Lee Jae-myung met with top executives from leading corporations in South Korea to discuss strategy ahead of next week's summit with U.S. President Donald Trump. President Lee Jae-myung spoke directly with leaders from Samsung, SK, LG, Hyundai Motor, and Hanwha corporations that will accompany him on his trip to Washington, D.C. And one main topic expected at the summit is cooperation in shipbuilding, a sector prioritized by the U.S. and central to recent tariff negotiations. However, Korean officials have not disclosed further details.
In other news, King Jigme Kisar Namjen Wangchuk of Bhutan and Queen Jetsun Petma paid a state visit to Vietnam on the occasion of Vietnam's 80th National Day. Bhutan is known for its carbon-negative economy and over 70 forest coverage, making it a global model of sustainable and harmonious development. The visit is expected to open a new chapter in practical and mutually beneficial cooperation aimed at enhancing people's happiness and contribution to regional peace and prosperity. And what's another regional and notable development of this region, Hoàng Anh?
That's a very good question, Thao Chang. Another key development comes from Japan. While Bhutan is drawing attention for the sustainable growth, Tokyo, on the other hand, is focusing on the wealth health. Japan will contribute $550 million over the next 5 years to support an international organization that provides vaccines to children in developing countries. The announcement was made by Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba during a meeting with Microsoft founder Bill Gates. The pledge is set to be officially announced at the upcoming Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Yokohama from August 20 to 22nd.
And that effort really goes to show the possibilities of public-private partnerships. And on that topic, moving on to India, where hundreds of passengers were safely rescued after an electric train derailed in Mumbai, India. The incident occurred during a heavy rainfall and was attributed to overclouding and a power outage. Mumbai recorded over 140 millimeters of rains in some areas, causing flooding and disruption on several train lines, tempting passengers to crowd onto a single route. Emergency services, including the fire department and local police, launched a swift rescue operation.
Also, China's Ministry of Water Resources has activated a level 4 emergency response to address flood threats in several provinces, including Tianjin, Hebei, Liaoning, and Yunnan. The warning follows forecasts of heavy rainfall and potential flash floods, with alerts also issued for Beijing. Medium and small rivers are at risk of reaching warning levels from now through August 22nd.
Across Asia this week, the weather is no longer just a backdrop. It's the headline. From deadly floods in China to emergency alerts in Pakistan and historic drought crippling Syria, the climate is shifting fast and the impacts are hitting harder than ever. In today's deep dive, we go beyond the daily updates to uncover the bigger pictures. Why are these extreme weather events becoming more frequent? What's driving their intensity?
Yes, and to answer that question, Tao Zhang, torrential rain across Pakistan north have caused flooding and landslide that have swept away entire villages, leaving many residents trapped in the rubble and scores missing. The devastating Pakistan floods have killed 670 people and left more than 1,000 injured. According to the country's National Disaster Management Authority, the monsoon disaster has triggered mass evacuations, with 25,000 people shipped to safer locations.
Rescuers dug through mud and stone in heart of the Lori village in Kiba Bakhtunkhar province in the hope of finding survivors and the bodies of people missing. Villagers stood watching and praying as the rescuers worked a day after the search was halted by more intense rain.
We have brought psychiatrists for survivors because people are suffering from trauma. I will also request the administration to arrange additional counseling. We're seeing that people were traumatized in a similar way. It becomes very difficult for us when we face such people.
In just minutes, a torrent of water and rocks swept down on the village of Delori on Monday, destroying at least 15 houses, damaging several others, and killing 9 people. 20 villagers are still trapped under debris.
It's an apocalyptic thing. Your word, terrifying. It's black. Seconds swept away. My father, elderly and quickly. Others managed to escape, but I was trying to carry him. But when I saw the coming, tried to live, the flood had already reached.
Heavy monsoon rains also pounded Karachi, Pakistan's largest city, bringing low-lying areas to a standstill, where severe flooding, traffic gridlock, and power outages.
There is a lot of water in Britain, but there is just salt in the office. The watering machines were seen at 2 places, but not throughout the place. So it request to the governments that there should be power new machines so that the water can be cleared out. It is causing inconvenience to the people.
Pakistan government has issued new flood alerts, warning people to avoid travel to vulnerable areas as this year's monsoon is affected by some unpredictable phenomena.
The monsoon 2025 is unique in a sense that in this monsoon we are witnessing the confluence of 2 different systems. Under the influence of these 2 different systems, the clouds that are developing this year are more thicker, and also the overall swath of the monsoon has extended.
Under the complicated weather patterns, the resulting cloudburst, sudden extreme downpour that dumped more than 100 millimeters of rain in an hour, have devastated northwestern Pakistan.
authorities warned they could not rule out a repeat of the catastrophic 2022 floods, which killed nearly 1,700 people.
Hundreds of lives lost, entire village swept away. The monsoon floods in northern Pakistan have left behind devastation and heartbreak. Sadly, this is no longer an isolated event, but extreme weather has become more frequent, more violent, a harsh reminder of the climate crisis we all face.
And what's striking, Tao Chang, is that in Asia, rain has always been seen as a blessing of a symbol of renewal, but now it's also becoming a warning that sudden cloud and longer downpours will only grow stronger. Have you ever wondered why rain, once a lifeline here, is now turning into a threat?
That's exactly it. And cloudbursts are not just storms, they're flash disasters. The ground can absorb water, and within minutes, whole communities are underwater. So the real question is, can our cities, with so many people and so much rapid construction, keep up with this new normal?
And that is where science matters, because to prepare, we first need to understand. So coming up, we turn to Professor Johnny Chan, one of Asia's leading climatologists with decades of research. He helps explain why these dangerous weather extremes are intensifying and what they mean for the future of our region.
Cloudbursts are sudden and violent with devastating consequences and widespread destruction, and can be equivalent to several hours of normal rainfall or longer. The event is the bustling of clouds and the discharge of its contents at the same time, like a rain bomb.
In 10 minutes or 20 minutes, when you have lots of water coming down from the cloud, and so that's why it's called burst, and it's coming from the sky, from the cloud, therefore it's called cloudburst. Basically a thunderstorm. So when there's lots of water coming in the thunderstorm, then it comes down in a relatively short period of time, so it looks like a burst, and so that's why it's called a cloudburst. And so basically what it means is that this heavy rain coming down in a relatively short period of time.
Cloudbursts thrived in moisture, monsoons, and mountains. Regions of India and Pakistan have all three, making them vulnerable to these extreme weather events.
Number one, the river cannot sustain that flow rate, and so therefore there will be flash flooding. And number two, the problem with many of the places is that they have a lot of deforestation. So they chop down the trees, and so therefore trees have a very important function, which is to hold the topsoil. Now, if you chop down all the trees, then what happens is that there's no more trees to hold the topsoil, and so when you have heavy rain, then the topsoil gets washed down, and therefore you will have landslides.
The frequencies of cloudbursts in these two South Asian nations has been steadily rising due to a warming atmosphere, because the warmer air mass can hold more moisture, creating conditions for sudden and intense downpours, often leading to floods and landslides.
The reason why we expect to have more heavy rain is because global warming tends to allow more water vapor to be present in the atmosphere, and so therefore when you squeeze the water vapor out, you can get heavier rain. So this is on a global scale because of global warming.
The devastation brought by the floods in Pakistan and surrounding area this year is what the climate crisis looked like at about 1.2 degrees Celsius of global warming since industrialization. But the world is on track for about 3 degrees Celsius of warming by the end of the century, as humans continue to burn planet-heating fossil fuels, and scientists warn that every fraction of a degree of warming will worsen the impacts of the crisis.
While some parts of Asia are drowning under relentless rain, others are parched by the absence of it. If cloudbursts are the violent outbursts of a warming atmosphere, then droughts are its long, suffocating silence, and both are signs of a climate system in distress.
In Syria, that silence has stretched into the country's worst drought in 36 years. slashing wheat productions by nearly 40%. And what's unfolding is no longer just an environmental concern. It's also the start of potential food crisis.
And Syria faces a potential food crisis, after the worst drought in 36 years slashed wheat production by around 40%, squeezing the country's cash-strapped government, which has been unable to secure large-scale purchases. Let's see what happens in Syria.
That's Othman, a wheat farmer from Qamishlo, part of Syria's breadbasket region in northeast Hasakah province, didn't harvest a single grain.
This year, we planted 6 hectares and we harvested nothing. The crops didn't grow, and even the shepherds didn't benefit from the land. We incurred huge losses, including farm wages, seed, and fertilizer. We lost all of these costs.
Around 3 million Syrians could face severe hunger, according to the United Nations World Food Programme. Over half of the population of about 25.6 million is currently food insecure. In a June report, the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization estimated that Syria faced a wheat shortfall of 2.73 million tons this year, or enough to feed around 16 million people for a year. The situation poses a challenge to the new government, which is seeking to rebuild Syria after 14-year civil war.
Local production does not cover more than 2 to 3% of local demand, especially after a year of drought that hit Syria. Never in Syria's history has there been a year like this one, and therefore it can't be relied upon, especially since the main food in Syria is bread.
Wheat is Syria's most important crop and supports a state-subsidized bread program, a vital part of everyday life. Yet the government has been slow to mobilize international support for big grain purchases.
So far, no quantities of aid have arrived in Syria, except for a grant from the Iraqi brother. Other than that, it is being purchased by the Syrian government.
The new government has only purchased 373,500 tons of wheat from local farmers this season. That is around half of last year's volume. So far, however, Damas has not announced any major wheat import deals and is relying on small private shipments amounting to around 200,000 tons in total through direct contracts with local importers. Meanwhile, in a major U.S. policy shift in May, U.S. President Donald Trump said he would lift sanctions on Syria that risk holding back its economic recovery. Still, Syria's main grain buying agency is yet to announce a new purchasing strategy.
When nature strikes, we often ask, what went wrong? But the more important question is, what can we do, right, Thao Chao?
Absolutely. From flash floods in Pakistan to drought in Syria, the message is clear. The climate crisis is no longer abstract. Yet, amid these challenges, a new awareness is quietly taking root across Asia, especially in how we travel.
In this week's Asia's Trend, we explore how more and more travelers and destinations are embracing a greener, more responsible way to explore the world.
But first, let's take a look at how Vietnamese people prepare for this special national holiday. With its timeless charm, rich heritage, and peaceful brims, Hue City stands out as one of the most enchanting getaways for the upcoming holiday. You know, every time I visit Hue, it feels like a place where time slows down. I just love the city so much. And did you know Hue City provides free admission for several tourist attractions for Vietnamese citizens on national holiday, September the 2nd. Visitors only need to bring their citizen identification cards to access heritage sites, including the Imperial Citadel, Tu Duc Thong, Hue Royal Antiques Museum, Anding Palace, and Hon Chen Temple. Sites will be open from 7 to 5 p.m. And the Hue Monuments Conservation Center say it will deploy sufficient staff and tour guides to assist visitors during the special holidays. What about you, Hang Anh? What's your favorite city to visit?
Well, it's really hard to pick my favorite because, I have a lot. But if I have to pick one, I would have to say Ho Chi Minh City. And fun fact about this city is that a massive mural titled Beautiful Vietnam was just unveiled here with a length of nearly 600 meters and total area of 2,600 square meters. It is now the largest mural street in Vietnam. The artwork marks the 80th anniversary of the August Revolution's Vietnam's National Day and the founding of the Vietnamese police force.
Turning our attention to Thailand, the country will launch the Tourist DigiPay program in the fourth quarter of this year, allowing international visitors to pay using cryptocurrency. Digital assets will be converted to Thai baht and stored in an e-wallet, usable via QR code in stores, restaurants, and even street vendors. The government expects this move to boost tourist spending by 10% and offer a convenient cashless payment option for foreigners.
And why, speaking of tourism, in the sun-drenched coastal land of Quảng Trị, Vietnam mangrove forests stand tall with a unique beauty that needs to be preserved. These coastal green belts are not only natural barriers against wave and floods, protecting seaside communities, but also vibrant ecosystems, teeming with the marine life and offering sustainable economic opportunities to local residents.
Since they were first planted in 2010, these mangroves have gradually changed the lives of the people of Bac Phước village. Every year, aquaculture and farming beneath the forest canopy generate stable incomes of $8,000 to $12,000 per household.
I was allocated 22 hectares by the local government. Each year, the yield of shrimp and fish varies, but this year is very abundant. Thanks to these mangroves, my family's finances are now stable and much better off.
Currently, over 350 households in Bac Phước are living in harmony with more than 60 hectares of mangrove forest. These forests not only prevent coastal erosion and regulate the climate, but also offer shaded, refreshing spaces.
Coming here gives me a deep sense of peace. The air is cool and clean. I really love this place.
To protect these forests, the local authorities of Nam Cư Viet Commune have stepped up awareness campaigns and encouraged natural aquaculture under the forest canopy.
Our village has set clear rules. Residents, both locals and outsiders, who violate the guidelines on excessive fishing or aquaculture will be reported. We'll document the case and send it to higher authorities and the local police for action.
We plan to designate this area as an ecotourism zone and invite investment to develop it further, connecting it with our signature seafood products and the East-West Economic Corridor to improve accessibility for investors and tourists.
As of now, Quảng Trị province boasts over 200 hectares of mangrove forests. These forests have grown into green lungs that shield coastal villages, preserve aquatic resources, and support livelihoods, while also paving the way for sustainable tourism development. Amidst these endless stretches of green lies the quiet confidence of coastal people, firmly rooted in nature, nurturing hope for a peaceful and prosperous future.
Across Asia, nature doesn't just sustain life, it inspires journeys. While Vietnam mangrove shelter coastal livelihoods, further north, the sweeping grasslands of China are drawing travelers in search of beauty, culture, and wide open skies. The stunning scenery and tapestry of folk culture in China's grasslands have given rise to a wave of tourism to the country's Inner Mongolia Autonomous Region in the north and Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in the west. Let's visit this special place in our following story.
Visiting spectators gather to view thrilling folk sporting events like horse racing and archery in the grassland of Georgi County in Ulanqab, Inner Mongolia. Over 300 horses galloped under the control of herders at the event. In the traditional 10-kilometer horse racing competition, 28 participants from Inner Mongolia's Hohhot, Baotou, and Ulanqab competed in a 2-kilometer track, showcasing their speed and skills. A 15-year-old contestant from Baotou City won the championship.
This horse is 5 years old this year. I've been with it since it was a baby because I was there when it was born. We won the championship in this competition and I am so happy.
Outside of the sporting grounds, the grasslands come alive with herds of yaks, camels, and livestock, offering visitors a timeless glimpse into nomadic life.
I came here specially to experience this unique folk activity. On the way, I saw herds of cattle and sheep, all brimming with the atmosphere of folk culture.
Since late July, the Makanwan grassland in Mulay County, Xinjiang, has entered the most beautiful season of midsummer. Many travelers visit the county to enjoy the cool weather and enjoy the scenery. The Makanwan grassland is a picturesque oval-shaped depression nestled among towering mountains at an altitude of 2,300 meters. Rich in biodiversity, the grasslands teems with diverse flora and fauna, making it the primary summer grazing ground for Mulay County.
As we close this week's edition of Inside Asia, we take you to a quieter moment where in Van Lake, a basin, Turkey, the flamingos have returned, making quite a scene. They're called Ali Turna. Isn't that quite beautiful?
It really is, Tao Chang. I mean, just look at them. These beautiful flamingos with their striking red and white feathers set against the deep blue of the lake and those golden sunsets. It's no wonder they have become a favorite for photographers and nature lovers. And as they return year after year, this stopover is a gentle reminder of how powerful and peaceful nature's rhythm can be.
And that concludes this week's edition of Inside Asia.
We will see you next week, this time on Inside Asia.
trên những chuyến xe. Ta thấy bao nỗi buồn phá không gian, giam cầm ta trong những ưu tư mỗi ngày. Đón lấy thế giới tôi đang để trông ra đằng xa xa, và bọn anh đang dắt châu ra đồng, để trông theo thuyền lênh đênh, tôm cá tươi, bác cư dân cười vui. Nhạc của em bị chung du trên mênh mông, để anh ôm cả trời bao giờ giữa ngày đông.
Tình như sóng mới xô xa từ đã vội ngược gió ra khơi, vội pha đến cũng vội pha rời. Tôi yêu em lắm anh ơi, em đã có những ngày nắng đẹp, sao còn giữ những đêm mưa, giữ lại cho nỗi đau cũ hay tình yêu mới. Chiều nay mưa rông ở đâu cứ chút vào lòng, sao lối đi về nhà em lại xuân vắng tiếng bao hồng. Vậy ra em tôi từ lâu đã hết nặng lòng, em báo tin mừng thì tôi phải vui hay là đến khóc.
Ngày ấy em thương người ta đói lá nặng lòng, anh tránh anh hơn làm chi để dại tê hy vọng. Trời ơi thì nghe người ta nhắc chữ vợ chồng, nước mắt cứ trào tựa như rất lâu rồi mới có.
Đó chính là sự kết hợp giữa Quốc Thiên và Bảo Ngọc với chuyến xe âm nhạc trong một bản hit đến từ Quốc Thiên, rất lâu rồi mới khóc.
Tình như sóng mới xô dạt bờ, nợ vội ngược gió ra khơi, vội vã đến cũng vội vã rời, tội nghiệp anh lắm em ơi.
Em đã có những ngày nắng đẹp, sao còn giữ những đêm mưa, giữ lại cho nỗi đau cũ hay tình yêu mới. Chiều nay mưa rông ở đâu cứ chút vào lòng, sao lối đi về nhà em lại dồn vang tiếng pháo hồng. Vậy ra em tôi từ lâu đã hết nặng lòng, em báo tin mừng thì tôi phải vui hay là nên khóc.
Ngày ấy em thương người ta đói lớn nặng lòng, anh tránh anh hơn làm chi để dại tê hy vọng. Trời ơi thì nghe người ta nhắc chữ vợ chồng, nước mắt cứ trào tựa như rất lâu rồi mới khóc. Trời ơi thì nghe người ta nhắc chữ nước mắt cứ trào tựa như rất lâu rồi mới khóc. Nước mắt cứ trào tựa như rất lâu rồi anh mới
Cảm ơn Bảo Ngọc rất nhiều.
Hello, you're tuning in to 9 p.m.'s Newslines, and here are the headlines. Vietnam kicks off 250 major projects ahead of National Day. And later on, Vietnam ranks second in Southeast Asia for data center investment returns. In our world news, Israel enacts plans to seize Gaza City. Well, let's begin with the top news of this hour. A ceremony was held on Tuesday to simultaneously inaugurate and launch work on 250 projects in celebration of the 80th anniversary of the National Day. The events were attended by party and state leaders along with former senior officials. The project spans 34 provinces and cities, ranging from major infrastructure works to social programs, and are expected to play a pivotal role in driving Vietnam's socio-economic growth. Of the total, 89 projects worth about $8.7 billion were completed and inaugurated, while 161 new projects worth about $42.5 billion were officially started. Key highlights include the National Exhibition Fair Center and Zabing International Airport, alongside transport and infrastructure projects designed to boost connectivity and regional development. And here's an exciting update. The preparation for the celebration of the upcoming 80th anniversary of the August Revolution and National Day celebrations. Now today, the first ever dry run for the parade will be held, and traffic restrictions have been announced by the Hanoi Police. Now, roads closures, partial bans, and vehicle limitations will take effect from 11:30 a.m. today until 3 a.m. tomorrow, August the 22nd, starting 5.5 hours earlier than previously scheduled. Authorities also requested schools in the downtown area to close today, as well as on August the 24th and the 27th, to ensure safety and smooth parades. Traffic restrictions may be adjusted during the celebration. Hanoi Police urged residents to follow official updates to ensure safety and order. And now I'm sure that the traffic restrictions may be cumbersome for some, but fortunately, thanks to early announcement, many residents have made sufficient plans to not only avoid some of the drawbacks, but also join in the celebratory spirit as well. And here is what they have to say.
Wendy Oanh lives on Van Gogh Street, where full traffic bans will apply at certain times until September the 2nd.
I will walk to the open streets, then use the Grab transportation service, buses, or the metro. This is a once-in-80-year celebration, so the whole family is happy to support.
On Dot Cẩn Street, Nguyễn Duy Thái also shows understanding, since the government has prepared emergency support for households with urgent medical needs.
In case of health emergencies, families can contact the neighborhood committee, and support will be provided.
To facilitate the parades, the Hanoi Department of Education also decided that downtown school will close on August 21st, 24th, and 27th, rest stop and toilets for the public.
Our school is near Ba Dinh Square, where many people will gather. We are ready to serve their essential needs.
Step by step, with responsibility and goodwill, citizens are contributing to the success of the nation's great celebration.
Along with the national spirit swelling on this occasion, artists are also joining with their own artist creations. Most notably recently, the Made in Vietnam's album project by D-Tap, which has garnered quite a bit of attention from the public. The album just debuted with 16 songs featuring 25 singers from across the generations. Divided into 3 chapters, it recounts Vietnam's histories, honors, sacrifice, and compassion through tentatively translated Bamboo Warriors titles, and celebrates the nation's rise in Awakening of the Dragon. The project features leading artists, including People's Artist Bạch Tuyết, People's Artist Thanh Hoa, Mỹ Tâm, Hà Anh Tuấn, Đen Vâu, Suboy, Isaac, and Đông Nhi's family. Together, the album's emotional flow is seamlessly led, taking the audience through many levels. Sometimes simple and intimate, sometimes generous, rich, and prosperous, interspersed with quite thoughtful cuts. Coming up next in our bulletin, Israel enacts plan to seize Gaza City. later on, Vietnam ranks second in Southeast Asia for data center investment returns. Now, conflicts, natural disasters, and prevention of illegal online activities are what the world is focusing on today. Now, to bring you the latest update, I'd like to turn to Thao Chang. Now, what can you tell us about the world affairs today?
Thank you, Dylan. Obviously, we have to turn our attention to what's making the headlines everywhere, which is the situation in Gaza. Now, the Israel military yesterday launched the first phase of its offensive aimed at seizing control of Gaza City, a key stronghold of the Hamas movement. Israel Defense Forces spokesperson Brigadier General Efi Dafrind said troops now control the outskirts of Gaza City and will step up strikes on Hamas infrastructure, both above ground and in its funnel network. The military also announced it will call up an additional 60,000 reservists in early September to prepare for the second phase of this Gaza City operation. Now on to the latest news from around the world. In the U.S., local authorities are ramping up for measures of Hurricane Helene. North Carolina is under a state of emergency and evacuations have been ordered. In Florida and New England, beaches have now been closed amid warnings of rip currents and dangerous waves. New York City shut down its beaches yesterday and today, while several beaches in New Jersey are also temporarily off limits. Forecasts warn that Hurricane Helene could trigger flooding with waves reaching up to 4.6 meters. We turn to Russia, where the government has approved an action plan to fight cybercrime, especially phone and online fraud. It sets out 30 priority measures from legal reforms and stronger technology to improving digital literacy. Telecom operators and internet providers must report suspicious activities, and a biometric database of fraud suspects will be functional by April 2026. A single registry of official online stores will also step to block fake websites. By 2028, Russia plans to use artificial intelligence to detect fraud more effectively. India's government's plan to ban online games played with money, and what would be a heavy blow for an industry that has attracted billions of dollars of foreign investment. The bill aims to protect young people and vulnerable groups from the negative social, economic, and psychological impacts, as well as potential privacy risks associated with these games. The Indian market for such gaming is set to be worth $3.6 billion by 2029. And that's for our world news. Back to domestic updates. International turbulence is doing little to affect Vietnam's economic growth. In the first 7 months of 2025, Vietnam's seafood exports brought in around $6.2 billion, an increase of 17% compared to the same period last year. Shrimp continued to be the leading export item, generating $2.5 billion and rising 24% year-on-year. The U.S. market, which accounts for a large share, is facing challenges due to new tariff policies, so seafood companies are adjusting their export strategies accordingly. Even with slower sales to the U.S., Vietnam has maintained overall growth, expanding shipments to China, the EU, Japan, and South Korea. Faced with unpredictable fluctuations in the global market, the agricultural sector is facing the need to improve competitiveness and maintain growth targets. However, to turn orientation into results, the role of enterprise is key. Many enterprises are proactively pivoting to adapt to global trade fluctuations.
46% of this company's fruit output is exported to the U.S. Before the new reciprocal tariff, the company proactively separated production and logistics costs, kept product prices at a reasonable level.
Separating production and logistic costs will reduce the value of goods. We must cooperate with importers to reduce profits together to avoid shocking the market. For fruit and vegetables, there's also a trade deficit with the U.S., so there are many advantages to reducing tariffs.
We are moving to other markets using similar products. For example, for frog products, to maintain the U.S. market, we must share with our customers and buyers how to have a difference in tax rates between us and the countries with the same competing products.
The Ministry of Industry and Trade affirmed that it is continuing trade negotiations with the U.S., supporting businesses to expand their markets and take advantage of incentives from FTAs, thereby improving competitiveness.
We also have quite positive negotiation results. The largest U.S. retail group, Walmart, continues to come to Vietnam to look for products because it considers this a strategic market. Changing suppliers at this time with such tax rate is meaningless for them.
According to information from the Ministry of Industry and Trade, in early September, more than 300 large international buyers will be invited to Vietnam, with more than 3,000 pre-scheduled B2B meetings. This is an opportunity for businesses to consolidate traditional markets, open new markets, and affirm their ability to adapt and maintain growth in a volatile trade environment.
Japan sees record surge in international tourists. Wild West experience a rise in Saudi Arabia. Continuing with our world news, our cultural segment today has a lot to offer, isn't that right?
Right, and we turn our attention to Japan, who the country has just welcomed an estimated 3.4 million foreign visitors, to be more specific, marking the highest monthly figure ever recorded. Now, that's according to the Japan National Tourism Organization. The surge was driven by a weaker local currency, growing interest in Japanese culture among younger travelers, and the peak summer holiday seasons in many countries. From January to July, international arrivals reached around 25 million, an 18.4% increase compared to the same period last year. In the UK, another new record was also set, this time for the longest distance traveled by a battery-powered train on a single charge. The train, which arrived at Reading Station in southeast England, completed a journey of 322 kilometers, powered entirely by batteries, without recharging along the way. The train traveled at an average speed of about 60 kilometers per hour, slower than a regular train, but ideal for maximizing battery efficiency. By the end of the trip, the 6 battery packs still had nearly 23% charge left, enough to cover an additional 96 kilometers.
In the cool, misty highlands of Aba in Saudi Arabia, a taste of the American Wild West is drawing crowds. Families are flocking to Cowboy Town, a themed pop-up filled with rodeo-style shows, horse riding, and country dancing. The attraction has quickly become one of the highlights of this year's Easter season, boosting Saudi Arabia's growing tourism scene.
In the misty highlands of Saudi Arabia's Aba, families clapped and filmed on their phones as performers wearing cowboy hats and fringe jackets danced on a sandy stage. The performance is part of Cowboy Town, a Wild West themed pop-up that has become a popular attraction of this year's Easter season.
We are proud Saudis who cherish our identity. We don't deny this identity. It runs in our blood. But the purpose of creating this theme was to showcase Saudi's tourism to the furthest reach possible.
The pop-up, which opened on July 1st and runs until August 23rd, offers horseback riding, archery, live theater, western dancing, and horse shows, drawing families from across the kingdom and the Arab world.
Everything about this is exceptional here in Aba. It's a wonderful experience with cool weather and rain. Combined with this theme, it feels truly magical.
The cowboy experience was fun and suitable for all age groups, young and elderly. It was truly an enjoyable experience.
In 2024, Saudi Arabia welcomed 116 million visitors, up 6% on the previous year. Aba has become a focal point for Saudi Arabia's push to diversify tourism beyond religious travel, with the government aiming to triple visitors' numbers to Easter to about 8 million by 2030.
And that is all that we have this hour on Newsline.
We'll be back with you in future bulletins.
Thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.
What if the greatest journey you ever take begins by going underground? What if silence could echo and darkness could make you see more clearly than light ever could?
Hello, my name is Huy, and I'm honored to be your tour guide today as we explore one of the most breathtaking natural wonders on Earth, Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng National Park.
I had never done it before, and I felt more connected to the nature, to myself. I felt more present, definitely.
When we swam backwards in the water, you can look up and it's just unreal. We have nothing like that.
It's really impressive because, all the stone that you see, it makes like million years to be like that.
So then I would like to spend more time in nature myself, and that we should preserve it because it's really precious, so we should take good care of it.
Hidden beneath these ancient mountains lies a world beyond imagination. A kingdom carved by rivers over 450 million years ago. A place where darkness births forests, where clouds gather underground, where the earth whispers its oldest secrets through stone. This is Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng, a jewel twice recognized by UNESCO, first for its geological marvels, then for its extraordinary biodiversity. This is not just a destination. It is a world within our world, majestic, mysterious, eternal.
We're really lucky. We've got the first biggest, the second biggest, the longest river cave in the world, all in this area.
Tôi tên là Hồ Khanh, tức người chuyên đi làm hang động. Tôi phát hiện ra hang Sơn Đông là năm 1990 vì mình chủ yếu làm để cho quê hương, và sau này gọi là mình có một cái gì đó để lại cho đời sau này.
Join us on the heritage journey, Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng, where every step is an invitation to adventure, and every discovery tells a story that the earth has been waiting millions of years to share. Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng is an underground kingdom holding records unmatched anywhere on earth. Here lies Song Dung, the largest cave in the world, so immense it could swallow an entire New York City block, skyscrapers and all. Not far away, Hang En, the third largest cave on the planet, greets explorers with an entrance the size of a football field, leading to a hidden valley of sandbanks and rivers lit only by shafts of sunlight. At night, the sky here becomes a dome of stars, framed by the cave's towering walls. Paradise Cave reveals mile after mile of chambers, soaring up 72 meters high. Their limestone formations carved into shapes so intricate they seem sculpted by hand. Beneath the cave floor runs the largest underground river in the world, winding through more than 400 discovered caves and countless others still unknown. And then one day, people came, not just to witness, but to test their limits. From every corner of the globe, adventurers converge here, driven by the desire to touch something truly primal and to return home changed forever.
Mình bắt đầu làm việc cho công ty Oslic vào năm 2015. Thì lúc đấy mình làm với vai trò là một người khuôn vác. Sau đó thì mình được chọn làm lên trợ lý an toàn. Thì sau 7 năm thì có một cơ hội rất là lớn đối với mình, đó là bên ship của mình tài trợ một khóa học online ở trường cao đẳng du lịch Sài Gòn. Hiện tại thì mình đang là hướng dẫn viên du lịch mạo hiểm. Vậy là mình cũng cải thiện nhiều kỹ năng của một hướng dẫn viên nữa, kỹ năng quản lý đoàn, rồi quản lý thời gian, rồi xử lý tình huống trong tour. And very unique structure, like cave structure, right? There are many layers, limestone, and non-limestone as well. Yeah. So this kind of rock, they are like sedimentary rock. They form from the seabed. Yeah, they form on the seabed from plankton and not plankton. Sorry, like dead sea creatures, such as oyster, clam, bonefish, coral. Yeah, something like that. When they die, like under the influence of ocean wave, they compress into layer, to form a giant block. Yeah, giant block on the seabed, and due to the movement of the Earth's crust, so they lift up above the sea level, created many limestone mountains as we see today. And the cave we are visiting is called Ken Cave, K-E-N. Yeah. So this cave was found by a fisherman. He lived in the village, Tân Hòa village outside there, in 2010. Yếu tố khó khăn nhất đối với mình với vai trò là tour guide mà khi dẫn những khách nước ngoài tới thăm cái thiên nhiên, tới thăm hang động ở khu vực này, chắc có lẽ là về phần ngôn ngữ. Đó là kỹ năng rất là cần thiết của một hướng dẫn viên. Mình cũng đã cố gắng trau dồi kiến thức rồi học hỏi thêm, cải thiện tiếng Anh của mình theo từng ngày để hoàn thiện bản thân hơn. You know, like the cave, most of the cave in this area, like were found by local people by accident, because during the time they went hunting, logging, they found many cave entrance, and some of them they can use as a shelter, to avoid rain or thunder, something like that. Yeah, but they never get inside the dark like this. They just stay nearby the daylight, get inside, because people here they really believe in spiritual. Okay, so we are in the cave, right? In the middle of the cave is pretty dark right now. Would you like to experience the darkness? For maybe like a few seconds. We can see how dark in here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Turn all the light off. Wow. Look at this. If you look this side, we still see like wicker light from the cave entrance over there, right? But if you look back, this side is totally dark. Yeah. Yes. How do you feel right now?
Good.
Good. Yeah. Are you like nervous? Are you scared of the darkness?
Not really, because I see the light here.
Yeah.
In the darkness, maybe yes.
Right. So in the quiet, sometimes we can hear some sound, louder sound from the creature. Do you know what is that?
I think it's bat.
Bat, exactly. Yeah, bat and birds. Yeah. Tuổi thơ của mình thì cũng đã đi vào một số hang động nhưng mà rất là nhỏ. Thường thì tụi mình chỉ ở xung quanh cái cửa hang thôi. Và lần đầu tiên mà mình đi vào trong bóng tối, mặc dù là có đèn nhưng mà cảm giác mình rất là lo lắng. Mình cứ nghĩ là sẽ có một cái gì đó rất là huyền bí, huyền ảo bên trong. Mình cũng hơi lo lắng và sợ nữa. Nhưng mà sau khi mình đi nhiều lần thì mình càng ngày càng yêu thích khám phá những cái thứ trong hang, giống như là măng đá, thạch nhũ, hoặc là nhìn những cái sinh vật trong hang.
It's not cold, it's for me just the perfect temperature than outside. And there is not really, maybe the smell is like the humidity, like the humid stone. And the sound, you can just hear the birds, not the birds, the bats. And that's so quiet. I think you need the peaceful of the nature to just connect with yourself, with the nature, and just to feel what is around you. I'm grateful to be in nature all the time when I am.
Before dinosaurs, before continents looked like they do today, Phong Nhia's limestone began forming. 400 million years ago, these rocks were the seafloor. Uplifted, fractured, dissolved by monsoon rains, they rose into a jagged wilderness. Phong Nha Kebang is not just old, it's one of Asia's oldest and most complex karst landscapes, a 3D fossil record of the Earth in motion. Phong Nha Kebang is not a single cave, but an immense subterranean labyrinth, over 400 caves clustered across the ancient karst landscape. At its heart lies the Phong Nha system, famed for an underground river stretching nearly 14 kilometers, and iconic chambers like Bi Ki, Cung Ding, and Toc Tien. To the north, Paradise Cave, an underground palace extending 31 kilometers, adorned with some of the most exquisite stalactites and stalagmites ever formed. Journey further west into the depths of the primeval forest, and you reach Son Doong, the largest cave in the world. Towering 200 meters high, 150 meters wide, and nearly 9 kilometers long, it shelters an ecosystem of jungle, rivers, and colossal skylights that pierce the darkness. Beyond lies the Hong En system, the gateway to Son Doong, where thousands of swiftlets nest and countless other caves remain hidden, linked by mysterious underground rivers. Together, they form a colossal subsurface map, a hidden world that humankind has only begun to explore.
Vườn quốc gia Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng thì có 3 hệ thống hang động chính, đó là hệ thống hang động Phong Nha, hệ thống hang động Hang Vòm và hệ thống hang động Nước Mộc. Thì cũng chính vì một trong những nguyên nhân đó mà ở khu vực Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng được xem là vương quốc của hang động. Nearby the cave entrance like this, you can see the cave formation have green color. You know why? Because of the moss. Yeah, the daylight get inside and the humidity, so it's creating a favorable condition for the moss grow up. Yeah, that's why you can see like some green color like this. Yeah. Tất cả những măng đá và thạch nhũ hoặc là những thành phần khác của hang động thì đều hình thành bởi nước mưa hòa tan đá vôi hoặc là khoáng chất, và theo thời gian thì thông qua cái quá trình nhỏ giọt hoặc là quá trình nước chảy từ trên bề mặt cao tới xuống dưới thấp thì canxi và khoáng chất sẽ lắng đọng để hình thành những cái thành phần hang động gọi là măng đá thạch nhũ.
When you have a lot of explanation about the caves and you learn more things, that's really interesting. So I feel lucky to be here because if nobody discovered this type of things, we never can visit.
Before these caves became legends of adventure, they were secrets, hidden under layers of jungle and silence, waiting for those hunters to stumble upon a doorway to another world. For Ho Hang, the jungle was more than survival. It was home. And in that wilderness, he found something that would change his life forever.
Thời kỳ năm 90, khi tôi đi rừng thì thời đó là núi rừng rất hoang vu và không có đường giao thông. Sau đó tôi đi ăn trầm hương thì một buổi chiều, trời mưa và tôi cũng tìm nơi trú mưa thì tôi thấy một bức tường, tôi nghĩ đó là một hang động. Thì sau này về đến 2008, tôi quyết định sẽ đi tìm lại một lần nữa. Thì đúng sự thật đi đúng 3 ngày là tôi tìm lại được cửa hang Sơn Đòn, và tôi vào xem thì đúng là một với sự thật choáng ngợp là hang này đúng là một hang lớn.
Half a world away, Dr. Howard Limbert, a cave expert, explorer, and member of the British Royal Caving Research Association, was captivated from the very first time he set foot here.
Time to go. We have been exploring caves since 1990, and there's many more to be discovered, but that's what we've explored so far. 440 new caves that nobody had explored before, so it's a very good area for exploring new caves.
In 2009, Ho Kain led Howard Limbert's expedition into Son Doong, unlocking the greatest subterranean wonder on Earth.
Đã đi rừng á, với đi hang động á, thì tất nhiên độ nguy hiểm nó rất cao. Đấy, cho nên là trước mắt mình đi vào cả cái hang động là mình phải hiểu được địa bàn đó. Vùng này là giống như có thể mưa sau mấy tiếng đồng hồ á, thì nước sẽ về, thì mình phải tìm mọi cách phải ra trước với cái giờ quy định đó. Đấy, không thôi thì mắc nước.
When we find new caves, what we're interested in is the wind. We always, if it's cool and the wind's coming out, that usually means the cave's going to be long or very big. And Son Doong's got a huge wind coming out. But a lot of caves here, you can find the entrances by the leaves that are moving near the entrances. And so that's one thing. When you can, obviously if you hear a river, you know you're going to find a cave. But if you can feel a big wind coming out of the cave, usually cool compared with the temperatures outside, that's a good sign for a nice big long cave.
Son Doong is not just a cave. It's a world within a world. A primeval forest thrives under shafts of light. Clouds form and dissolve like breath. Rivers vanish into the earth, only to reappear miles away. Here, nature has written its own laws. According to the discovery and exploration of Hang Son Doong by Howard Limbert and the British Cave Research Association, the 2009 expedition revealed astonishing dimensions never seen before. What they found shattered every record. Imagine a chamber 250 meters high, twice the height of the Statue of Liberty. A passage 175 meters wide, broad enough for a Boeing 747 to fly through. 9 kilometers of underground wilderness, a space so vast it could swallow 15 great pyramids of Giza. The report describes Son Doong as a cavern of extraordinary proportions, its volume exceeding 38.5 million cubic meters, making it the largest known cave passage on Earth. Inside 2 immense dolines, watch out for dinosaurs, and the Garden of Eden allows sunlight to break through the darkness, creating entire jungles deep underground. This was the moment the hidden kingdom beneath Vietnam's limestone mountains stepped into the light for the very first time.
It's not just one big passage with a river in, it's got a lot of variety. Some dry, some wet, some beautiful formations. It's really nice. And it's very, very unusual in that it's got 2 dolines, 2 collapses where daylight comes in. Caves normally don't have forests and trees inside the cave, but Son Doong does, and that's what makes it so special. There's a lot of rain in this area, and when you've got pure limestone, over 98% calcium carbonate, big rivers, that makes big caves. And this area is very different than any other area in the world because it's all been lifted up and it's very old. The mountains behind me are 450 million years old. And so over time, we formed some amazing caves, some of the best caves in the world.
Cái hang này nó lớn nhất thế giới á, nên cố gắng tìm một cái hang tên nào cho phù hợp. Thì cái rừng đó là rừng Đòn. Tức là khi tôi lớn lên và đi rừng á, là ông bà truyền thuyết đó là gọi là rừng Đòn. Thì tôi lại cái tên khu rừng gọi là tên bản địa đấy, tên khu vực đấy. Giống như Phong Nha rồi là Hoàn Lào đấy, gọi tên khu vực. Thì tôi đặt vào là chữ Đòn, mà cái cửa nó nằm ở trên núi thì gọi là Sơn, thì bắt đầu đặt 2 chữ Sơn Đòn.
Even today, the toughest part of the adventure isn't the cave itself, it's the journey to reach it. Son Doong was never the end. It was the beginning of a bigger promise, to keep searching, to keep protecting.
Nowadays, it's a little bit easier because we've got some fantastic porters and guides who help us in Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng National Park. Fantastic, because we've only explored about 30-35% of the area. The massive potential, not just in Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng, but in other parts of Vietnam.
Nói cũng ở dân thì đi thì tôi tập cho nhiều, với hai nữa là tôi bay cách khi đi rừng. Đi rừng là tuyệt đối không được ngó vào các cây để làm điểm là nó không trúng. Vì cây có thể hôm nay nó sống chứ ngày mai nó chết, hoặc có thể bão nó xô đi. Cho nên khi tới một khu rừng nào tốt hết, bạn hãy dinh một hòn núi nào đó để làm điểm. Thì sau này kể cả vài chục năm, bạn quay lại lấy hòn núi đó thì bạn đi thế nào cũng.
From a hidden void to a world-renowned wonder, Son Doong and Phong Nha Kẻ Bàng changed everything. It turned one of Vietnam's poorest regions into a land of hope.
When I arrived, people were starving. It was terrible. I was really proud when we managed to get World Heritage in this area. I thought that was a great privilege for Vietnam. Bigger tourists will come here. The local people, they're getting opportunities to get jobs and working in tourism. And they're very good. So that's my main reason for staying here for so long, to try and help the local people. And it's been really successful.
People whose lives were once uncertain, dependent on logging, hunting, or working far from home, now choose to stay, building a future rooted in their homeland through sustainable tourism.
Tôi bắt đầu làm việc cho công ty của Osalit làm vào năm 2013. Trước đấy thì tôi chủ yếu thì làm công việc ở nhà, rồi đi làm ăn xa ở trong miền Nam. Công việc mỗi ngày của tôi, thứ nhất là mình chuẩn bị đồ ăn trưa cho khách, cho tour, là mình vào bãi trại để chuẩn bị đồ ăn tối và lều trại. Mang vác đồ của đi tour là 30 cân trên một người ạ, bao gồm là đầy đủ các thứ như là ví dụ đồ ăn này, đồ ngủ của khách và đồ cá nhân của khách. Công việc này không chỉ riêng là phải đầu bếp, mà công việc này còn là đòi hỏi thêm cả sức khỏe. Nước thì là mình lấy ra từ dưới suối tự nhiên của trong bãi trại, và sau đó là mình đưa vào một cái bể to để mình đựng nước. Sau đó từ cái bể to để mình đựng nước đó là mình lấy để mình bơm để lọc nước thủ công để đảm bảo nước phục vụ cho mọi người được sạch sẽ.
Công ty cũng đã thiết lập ra các cái quy định về bảo tồn. Thứ nhất là khi đi trong hang thì là phải thiết lập các cái lối đi mà ít tác động nhất đến hệ thống hang động.
Alright, yeah. Carry on.